So I think that also makes it easier to grieve when they do pass, because like we talked about earlier, you kind of grieve the person they once were, and then you grieve them again when they die. And so you're kind of like more prepared when they do pass, because you've already kind of gone through that first set of, well, I lost who they were originally. It's very interesting.
Welcome to We're All Just Faking It. This is episode 30. Today we're talking about how to navigate all kinds of loss. With us today we have Dana, Braylon, Blaze, and myself, Steph. Before we start, we just want to add a trigger warning to this episode that we will be talking about death and grief. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi. That was very in sync. Very impressed.
No clue how that happened.
Organically. So we got a heavier topic today. I myself have not very luckily experienced a lot of loss in my life. I'd say the only person that I've lost is my dad. That was honestly not a surprise. Oh no, there was someone else, but that's not that doesn't count. That one doesn't count.
I'm kind of the same. I've lost, well, I've lost 3 grandparents, but my dad's set of grandparents got divorced when he was like 14, and they both got remarried. So by the time I was born, I technically had like 3 sets of grandparents that were like 3 full sets. So I've lost 3 of them. One whole set is gone, and then one partner of another one is gone. But only one of them I was really close with, my mom's dad. And I say really close. I didn't like grow up with them. But that was definitely hard. And like seeing my mom go through that, I think was like harder too, and her whole family, because like I can imagine what it would be like for my dad to die, and I would be a mess. So like, and my mom was really close with her dad. So I think it was harder in that sense. But I do have his ashes. I got a little necklace, like a little tiny necklace with a little bit of his ashes on it. Because we I don't know why, my grandpa and I just always had like a special connection. We were always very similar, and like he had German shepherds growing up, so like we always talked about that. And my mom was like, does anybody want ashes, like, and I was like, yeah, I want a little necklace. And I told her, I'm like, I'm gonna take him on adventures with me, so sometimes I wear it if I'm like doing something fun, or like going to a baseball game, because he loved baseball. So I don't know, I have a hard time getting sad when there's grief, because I don't know why. I just like to choose to remember them positively and think about them and stuff. But I also haven't had somebody extremely close to me die. I feel like that would be very different. If one of my family members died, that would be a wreck.
I'm
I
just
am
getting sad
also
listening to you.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh,
I know, right? I also am in a similar boat. I haven't really had that much loss, at least close to me. I did lose my great grandparents, but it doesn't hit the same as like your grandparent or even like your parents. Um my grandma on my dad's side, I also did lose her, and I remember that being kind of rough, but it's also like she was old in a better state, so it's a little bit different.
I would say I've had, it's not even that recent anymore. It's like 2017. My granddad died. That one was a lot harder because we were given so when he was 80, he had like a brain tumor, and then he had a heart attack as well, and stuff. So then we were kind of like, he was still alive like for 5 more years, which was great. You feel like you have like borrowed time. But unfortunately, he ended up getting cancer, and we were given like a week for him to still be alive. And that was like in September, and then he didn't die until December. So unfortunately, we had to kind of watch him slowly deteriorate until he he died. So I think that's sometimes harder to kind of slowly watch someone, the person you remember become someone you don't recognize. Like, I remember walking past his room and just not even looking in because he just looked like, I don't know, almost like almost like a ghost of himself. Like, it was awful. So yeah, I try and like not think of him then and think of him like when he was better and stuff. But I am really grateful for the relationship I had with him. And I know that the last thing he ever said to me was that I was a good girl. So, you know, it's
That's
nice to
sweet.
have nice words, you know, like I feel like a lot of people end up like they either don't remember the last thing that they said, or maybe they had words with each other, or they weren't always like the nicest things. So I feel fortunate for that. I know my mum's partner, he died in our house, unfortunately. He had a heart attack. And that affected me for a long time because I heard him die, like the noises that he made. It's like not nice hearing people die. And so for a while, I had like I don't know, sort of like PTSD, but I don't know if I want to like label it as that. But like if I heard any noise even slightly similar, I would just be triggered like straight back to that night and stuff. And like sometimes I couldn't close my door for ages because I closed my door thinking it was someone coughing or something. I just closed my door to it and like went back to sleep. And I have like had tremendous guilt over that. Now I don't, because I know that there was nothing I could do, and it was like, gosh, it was an awful morning and stuff. So yeah, a bit of loss there.
That's personal
I'd
when that's
I'd
like
label
at
that.
home.
Yeah, yeah, but
That
we
that
don't live
sounds
there
like
anymore.
PTSD. For sure. PTSD. I mean, yeah.
So that's my grief.
It's gonna be a hard episode, guys.
Yeah.
Well, you know what's
I
strange?
feel like what?
I was just gonna say, every time I've had somebody die, they've all been old people, right? So like we knew it wasn't, none of them like died suddenly. It was like, I mean, my grandpa, there was like 4 times where they had flown everybody out and they were like, this is it. And then he ended up being fine. And then like a year later, they'd be like, okay. But I don't know if it makes it any more difficult or easier when you like, because like you said, you watch them become this version of themselves that isn't themselves anymore. And that is just a really strange thing. It's really weird.
Yeah, I mean, people
It's
always say like they've lived a long life, you know, and they've had all this stuff, and that's great. Like, you don't feel bad that they've like been their life's been cut too short and things, but at the same time, they become almost like this person you don't recognize if it goes on for too long. The illness that gets them, and then that's hard because the person that you grew up with and you remember is like so different from this person you're like looking at, and you're trying to, I guess, comfort and be kind to, but you don't also kind of, you're looking at them like, I have no idea, like this person is not someone I recognize anymore.
I feel like it's a lot of the first grief that people experience is either pet loss or elder loss in their family. Um I mean also like ambiguous grief. I feel like that's been the vast majority of mine. Like when my dad died, it didn't it didn't really hit the way that you'd expect it to, cuz like I didn't talk to my dad. I had pretty much told my dad to never call me again. Like dude chose drugs, and it was just every time he called me it's like, Stephanie, the helicopters. And it's like I can't do it. I can't deal with like the mental illness that came about from doing meth for years. It just wasn't something that I was willing to do. And it's like I sitting here I was like, oh yeah, I also lost a cousin, but I think the last time I talked to her I was like, you're literally my last words to her, it's like, if you're going to act like an idiot like this, you're going to get yourself killed. And that's exactly what happened. So I feel like I've gone through a lot of that ambiguous grief with like family. I don't know. It's weird. Grief is weird. It's like coming to terms already when they're alive that they're no longer a part of your life, and then
I
they
was
cross
gonna
the plane
say,
and
like what Dana was talking about too, it's almost like you grieve them twice. You grieve losing this
Yeah.
person that you once knew while they're still alive, and then you have to grieve them again once they pass. It's like this weird
It's
transitional.
weird.
It's
Yeah.
hard. Like when my great aunt died, she lived in America, which is funny now that I have all these friends in America. And she used to fly down all the time, and we'd like take her around because she used to live in England, and we take her around and show her all the good sights and stuff. And she was always really nice. We go off and have a drink somewhere, obviously like Coke for me. And then she'd be like, "Do you want a packet crisp? Don't tell your grandma," and stuff. I always used to think she was like this amazing old lady. She was like so lovely. And then one day we just got told, yeah, she had cancer and died, and she just didn't want anyone to know. Like she didn't get treatment, she didn't do anything. And I mean, it's very much typical stubborn older person in that respect. She was of that generation, but that was my first experience of death, of a family member or of anyone. And I remember being like absolutely destroyed. And now I think I handle grief better now than I did back then because I was like obviously a child. But yeah, it was awful. And then no one wanted to talk about her, and I had all these memories that I wanted to tell people and be like, "Oh, do you remember when she did this? Do you remember when she did that? Wasn't it so nice that she did this?" And no one wanted to talk about her, and I just didn't. I didn't understand why. Um, and like even now, we don't really talk about her, and it makes me sad. Because she was such an amazing, amazing woman.
My first experience with loss was actually my dog. And I think I was 10. And this was like my childhood dog that I had had. Like, I don't know, I was pretty young. We got him for my sister, but I ended up bonding with him, and he slept in my bed every night. He was like my little best friend. Um, and he got hit by a car and he died. My dad ended up finding him, and like we had a little burial service for him. But I literally remember like weeping for like days. Like my little 10-year-old self was like, that was I in my life. Like I remember it so distinctly because I think it had such an impact on me. Um, and I just remember crying literally in my mom's bed for like days and days. It was so rough.
I have a very similar experience. One of the first memories I actually remember from my childhood is losing one of my pets when I was super young. Like I was in daycare at that time. I should not remember that, but I do because I remember coming home from daycare with my dad and we were looking for our dog, and I go under the deck and I saw her and I was like, "Dad, she's sleeping, she won't get up." And my dad's like, "She's not sleeping." So I remember finding her still to this day.
That's so sad.
Yeah.
That's terribly sad. I also lost a cat when I was 14 that had the same impact on me. It was literally terrible. I like walked in my house and her little head was like leaning against the wall, and I was like, that's not good. Cats don't like I've never seen a cat that's sitting and then like rests its head on a wall. And we had to put her down that day because she had really bad cancer. But same, just remember my mom and my dad and I just for days crying. Um, Makes me feel sad I didn't have that same kind of reaction from my grandparents. But it's like
I mean, and
my
that's
pets were
crazy.
so
Like,
close to me though.
yeah, like the thought of losing, like, I'm sorry, this sounds so fucked up, and I'm sorry that it's coming out of my face, but like, when I think about a human that I'm close with passing, yes, it's sad. And yes, I feel sad about that. When the thought just even brushes against the outskirts of my mind that I'm not going to have my butters anymore, like I'm fucking tearing up now. No, no, unacceptable. Live forever. I'm gonna cry.
Oh,
Fuck
no.
this show.
I've been actually talking about this recently at work with a couple of people, and it's because I personally believe that the reason we get more upset about our pets going than our real life people is that your pet is there when you come home. They're there for you when you're sat, at your desk. They climb on your keyboard when you don't want them to, and they're really annoying, but they're always there. Like you love them, and whereas like people aren't in your life like 24/7. Other people have other things they're doing. Like you see people at work, but like if they're off for a week, you don't see them for a week. Like when people leave work, so it's like it doesn't hit you for ages that they've actually finally left, because it's just like they're on holiday. And it's the same with like if you don't see your grandparents all the time or stuff, it's very easy for your mind to just pretend, or just to think of them as not just being away, or not being there. Whereas your pets, it's very hard. You sit at your desk, you think, oh, well, my cat would always be next to me. Or, you come into the house and your dog's not there to greet you, like it's just, it's, it's just not feeling normal, like everything that you're used to is not there anymore. And I think that's why it hits us so much more when our pets go than people in our lives.
I'm gonna be a goddamn mess. I'm gonna be a fucking mess. I don't even know what to do to prepare for the mess that I am going to be.
I do feel like it is comparable to like spousal or like intermediate familial loss. Like when you lose a pet, like it is like losing a part of you.
That's another thing we were talking about, that you should get compassionate leave for when your pet dies, not just
Yeah.
for your immediate family, because your cat or your dog or your pet of any kind is your immediate family. I'm gonna be a fucking mess. Like there's no way I'm coming into work the next day. Like
Oh yeah.
no
I
way.
just hope when we had to put our other dog down, he had cancer. So we got like a lot of months where we like knew he was going to die, right? And it was like you said, like borrowed time. Like we were able to like give him extra treats and like just like spend a lot of time with him. And so I hope that I get that gift with all of the rest of my pets, because at least for me, it allowed me to like grieve through that whole process. So then when it actually came time to put him down, I was like ready. Do you know what I mean? Like I was
Long
like,
grief.
okay, yeah, like it was, I didn't even cry the day of. I'll cry now sometimes thinking about him, but the day of I was like, I'm ready. This is the way that it's meant to be, and I've spent time with him, and this is okay. And
I
that's
was
a
Like,
blessing.
I was an
why isn't it the
absolute
same though?
mess when my childhood dog died. Not the one that I was mentioning before, but the one that I grew up with the most. Because she basically started having seizures like randomly, and within like maybe 2 weeks we had to put her down because she couldn't even stand up.
That's so hard.
Yeah. So I remember just crying that day. Like I didn't even go with my parents cuz I was like, no, can't do it.
Oh God, my biggest fear is like being at work, like or like offsite or not at home, and like having Rona have to call me and tell me, or like, because like honestly, I should probably go have that conversation with him at some
You
point. Like,
should. How you
happens
want
to
it to
one of our
go.
animals, what is the protocol? Because I honestly wouldn't know what to do. I would probably, if it was me and I was finding one of our pets, I'd probably call him like, I just need you to come home right now. That's it. I just need you to come home right now. But like, imagine what that would do to someone mentally. It's like you don't know
Yeah.
what you're walking into. So yeah. All right. I would make a stream marker, but I'll just have to write it down somewhere to just have that conversation.
I was actually thinking the other day, because I quite often think about Cassie leaving me, because I know that it's probably the one thing at the moment that could trigger a mental breakdown in me. So it's something I think about quite often, not on purpose. Like a lot of time it comes into my mind. But the other day I was thinking about it, and I've not accepted it because I know I'm still going to be a mess, but I've kind of think about it as I would always like to be alive while she's alive. Like have you seen Hachi, where the dog is like waiting for their owner, but their owner's died and it doesn't understand? Like I would hate for that ever to happen to Cassie. Like I just couldn't even imagine the confusion and fear that she would feel. So I always want to make sure that I make her life the best I can and give her all the comfort I can and be with her in her final hours, I hope. And just give her love always. And I'll forever be grateful that I had her in my life and I got to live for most of her life. We got to
Yeah.
be together,
I
even
do
though she had
something
8 months without me.
I do something kind of similar because we put baby kitty outside, I recognize that he could die any day. Like any single day. And that's a risk that we take. And so what I've been doing with him, because some pets, like I've lost pets before where it like didn't really affect me because it wasn't like a soul pet. But then you have pets that are like, oh no, this is like this pet is a part of me. And that is how baby kitty is with me. And so I'm really mindful about the time that we spend together. So if we're like snuggling and enjoying and like having like a nice little moment, I'm like thinking about the whole time just how much I appreciate this and how nice it is and how lovely, and I'm like not on my phone, and it's like being super present in all of those moments makes me feel like even if something does happen, I got to have all these beautiful moments, and it like comforts me a little bit.
I
That's
feel
why
that.
I have like a million photos and videos and all sorts of Cassie, because I never want to forget the way her nose looked or the way her ears went down randomly when she's listening to something. Like I don't want to miss or forget a single thing about her for as long as I'm alive. I don't want to like be like, oh, I've forgotten what her meow sounds like, or oh, I can't remember quite how her eyes. No, no, no. I have a picture and a video for everything that I don't want to forget because I love her so much. And
So,
I would hate that.
life hack, get a paw print stamping kit, and then
I
you
have
can
one.
also get amazing mold putty, and you can make like a stamp of their paw. So I have one of Butters, I have one of my other cat Milton, I have I don't think I have one of Izzo. I need to make one. I should have done it when he was a puppy and had really soft paws, but anyway. And it's also kind of morbid, but I do also look up like how I can, I'm using air quotes here. Oh, wait, we're on camera. Preserve, right? I'm not talking about like taxidermy. I came to the conclusion when I was 18, 19 years old that that's fucking creepy. Maybe don't do that because then like any animal you bring into the house thereafter might have a very not great reaction to that taxidermy. But like compressing, sending your pet's ashes in and getting it turned into a stone is a scam. Like I've been doing a lot of reading on those and like to make sure that if I am going to give parts of my animal somewhere so I can have something to remember them by, that it's legitimate. Um so there's even services where you can like send in a bunch of photos of your pet from all angles and they'll make a stuffed animal that looks just like them. That's kind of what I'm leaning towards. I'm just also petrified from reading some of the reviews that like they're not, it's going to come back looking wonky, and it's a lot of money to have a wonky thing coming back. Or it's like commissioning artists, while your pet isn't gray, to do the art, and then you have the art of your pet forever. But the paw print is for sure like the number one thing. I will be making more Butterfinger paw prints, and
I
I'll
have
probably put it on the back of my art.
When you go to put your pet down, usually the vet will also do that for you. At least they did it for us. So we have like a little it has the saddest freaking poem on it, this little Rainbow Bridge poem, and if I read that poem, I'll literally start weeping because it's so sad, and then his little paw print. And so we have like a little display box that has that, which is really nice. But are you guys bothered like by death?
I
Not
would
really.
say I am.
Like, because I always tell this funny story. When my grandma died, my dad's mom, she was in a home like not too far from us, and we got the call like she's probably gonna pass soon. So my sister and I like left work, we drove over there. We missed her by like 10 minutes, her passing. But then they were like, you can just go in her room, and she was just like laying there, and and me and my dad and my sister were like, okay. And after like 5 minutes, my sister was like, I don't like this. This is really weird. I have to go. But me and my dad were like, she's just a body. Like, She's just gone,
I
you
hate
know?
it. I
It's not
absolutely
her
hate it.
anymore, like, and we literally she's laying in her bed, she, like, looks all nice, you know, she didn't look gross or anything, and, we just kinda, like, scooted her arm over, and we both, like, sat on the edge of the bed, and we were, like, looking through photo albums. My sister was like, "You guys are literally so weird." But we were
I
like,
don't
"I don't
know.
know, it's just it's she was gone." And we could, I think, both totally feel that it was no longer her, it was just a vessel, like
I don't think I've been around death like that to know if I'm okay with it.
I didn't even like the fact that my granny had my granddad's ashes in our house while we were waiting to bury his ashes. Like, I was just like, I don't know, it just felt really weird. Like, I didn't go into the room where they were, and I was like, oh. But at the same time, I kind of would like my cat's ashes. Like,
totally get them.
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Definitely.
I will be
Make her a
getting
little
butter.
shrine. I will definitely be getting baby kitty if we're able to. He's only 4 though, so I'm like, you have a long time.
Oh,
But yeah, don't
geez,
wish
yeah.
him away.
And see, and like I feel guilty, like even having the encroaching, passing, brushing thoughts on the edge of my thought, whatever bubble. Like Butters is only 13. I have many, many more years, and she's very, very healthy. But like, I feel like I'm gonna need a few more years of mental preparedness
And it's
because
good to think
we're not
about it,
we're not there.
I think.
It's
Like,
not
you shouldn't
helping.
feel
It just
bad
makes
that
me
you have
fucking
those
cry.
thoughts. But I think it is good in the long run to, like, just be aware. Like, it's better to be not, like, ignorant about it, right? Like, it's better to be aware to know because then you can savor the moments that you have with them.
Oh,
If
I
you're like,
spoiled the shit out of her.
yeah,
If you weren't
if you're
thinking about it, you wouldn't have the paw prints that you've already
yeah,
got. Butters.
all that stuff.
That is true.
Tattoos. I want
Oh
tattoos.
yeah.
I want my little Butters loaf one with the one of her next to the tissue box. I just want to get like the tissue box and the little loaf like on my arm.
You
I do.
definitely should do that. I think tattoos are a great way to memorialize anything that you want.
My babe.
I was gonna say, I think when my mom passes, I'll probably get a tattoo that is like similar to something that she liked,
That sounds
just
nice.
to remember her by. Plus, she's always wanted a tattoo, and she's like never gotten one.
Oh, so you're like doing it for her.
Yeah, exactly.
I love
You should
that.
go get those together now. You should get
Agreed.
something that like represents the two of you. Like just say like don't you think if you went to her and you were like, "Hey mom, I have this really good idea for us to get matching tattoos." And I think you could like
Maybe.
make a whole, I don't know, that would be so fun because then you would have the added memory of like I got this with my mom, which I think would be
Mommy
really
daughter day.
special.
I like.
Do you guys feel guilty that like when we talk about our pets dying, we're like literally, I think all of us have cried at one point during this episode, but when we've all been talking about real like people who have died, we've not cried like once, because I do feel guilty sometimes that I'm like crying over Cassie potentially dying, but I'm not crying telling you about my granddad who died.
I
don't
mean,
I don't feel guilty.
no. Because at the end of the day, like if everything else in my life is wrong, at least I have my cat. She has been here before everybody and she will be here after everybody. Like, where is she gonna go? Where's she gonna go?
I think that if I had lost like somebody really close to me, I would feel completely different. It's just like pets we lose more frequently because their lives are shorter and they are so close to us. It's not like people go through losing a spouse every 15 years, right? Like that would be crazy. I think I would have the same reaction. But it's not like with every pet for me. Like I've had pets where I don't know why I've had pets where they've died and it was just like I wasn't very sad. But then there's for sure some pets where I'm like, you're not allowed to die. I will be extremely upset when you
I'm
leave.
starting to get attached to the damn fish. That's like Feldspar. Every day I check the tank. I'm like, you good, dude? Everything good? We're great in here? Let me know if you need anything. I'm kind of attached to you now.
But I
Yeah,
think that goes back to like what Dana was saying. Like you're with them every day. You see them every day. It's not like your coworker or like, like it's somebody that you spend so many hours with, even if it is a fish, he's right next to you at your desk all day.
All
Like,
day.
yeah,
Me
of course you're
too.
going to get
Vibing.
attached.
it's hard. It's definitely hard because they are with you all the time. It's like I had a family friend die last year about summertime, and it was really hard because we'd seen them not that long ago and they were fine, and they'd had like I can't remember what it's called, but it's the like human version of mad cow disease. And she just like wasn't quite herself anymore, and it was awful because like we knew she had it and she was in hospital, but like she hadn't like died yet. But like she wasn't like she only had certain points where she actually knew what was happening or who people were that she was seeing and stuff. And I luckily didn't see her because I wanted to keep the memory of when we had her at barbecue and she was happy and laughing and stuff to me. But yeah, that was hard the day of. I remember like crying at her funeral and stuff, but then like because we didn't see her, like we saw her a couple of times a year, it's very easy for your brain to just think, oh, they're just at their house and they're not visiting. Like it's so easy for your brain to just kind of not forget that they're dead, but just kind of like
Put them
put
in a
yourself
box.
almost, yeah, like just put it like away and like I'm sad she's not going to come to the barbecue this year and like we're never going to see her again, but like I don't think about it very often because it's not like I passed anything that reminds me of her because she didn't live where I live. She lived in another place, and so I don't see things that constantly remind me of her. And I think maybe that as well with the whole pets over people, you see a lot more reminders in your house for pets than you do for like real life people, or I guess not life, dead people.
Yeah,
Every couple months.
my grandma was like that because she had dementia. So she like didn't have full-blown Alzheimer's, but in the last like few years when you would visit her, she just like wasn't the same, really. So I think that also makes it easier to grieve when they do pass because like we talked about earlier, you kind of grieve the person they once were and then you grieve them again when they die. And so you're kind of like more prepared when they do pass because you've already kind of gone through that first set of, well, I lost who they were originally. It's very interesting.
I think it's like you were saying about your dog Braylon. You knew for a while that he was no longer going to be with you, and so it helped you kind of prepare. Whereas like when I can't remember whose dog got hit by a car now. Braylon, your dog. That was more sudden, and you didn't have time to prepare, and that's a lot harder, I would say. The
Yeah.
sudden deaths in general, and with pets, I would say as well, because I'd love to have that like time where they're not in pain, but you know that it's coming, rather than come home one day and find out and not be there.
That I think is truly the hardest when it's unexpected because you just have no time to even do anything to prepare.
Not ready. Yeah.
And then you've got the what
I
ifs. Why didn't I give him some extra treats the day before, and things like that? Like, why do we care so much about the diet we put them on? Or, hey, they could have had one of our chips off our plate and things like that. And I think I would rather spoil my cat till the last minute if I had the chance.
and I 100% do. If Izzo too. If he wants the damn freeze-dried strawberry, he's getting it. He always gets the little bacon. If we have the cheese, you're getting the cheese. If Butters wants to cuddle, even if I'm not feeling cuddly, I let her cuddle. Have I made her like a little menace with absolutely no boundaries? Yes. But who's at my house that it matters? She lives here. You don't.
It's the cat's house. We're all just living in it.
It is her house. I wish he'd pay some bills sometime.
We've talked a lot about like loss of actual life, but do you guys grieve when you have like loss of friendship or anything like that, where it's not an actual death, but it's a death of the relationship?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I kind of stopped opening myself up in that way. I know that sounds like super dramatic, but I just kind of don't really bother anymore. If it doesn't come organically, then it's just not meant to be. Because I've had so much friendship loss in my life, it's I don't know. I don't know. It's okay to not jive. It's fine. I've come to terms with it.
I've definitely had friendships where I'm like, do you know what? I'm so glad to leave school and go to a different college and not be friends anymore, because that you just feel that like the friendship's run its course and you don't mourn that so much. I sometimes do find myself grieving like having a big friendship group, like because just as I've become an adult, I don't really have that anymore. And I miss that, but also I feel like I don't have time for a big friendship group anymore, like going out all the time. Recently, well, I say recently, last year, I had a friendship breakup that was, I would say, was really hard. But we have both just grown and changed in different ways that we didn't fit in it anymore, and that's sad because like when you've had friends that have been there for you through hard times and stuff, it's really hard to kind of recognize when it's time to say goodbye to that friendship, and thank you for the friendship that we've had and all those years, but now it's time for us to just part our ways, and good luck.
It is always tough.
I don't know that I've had or that I've ever lost a friend and been sad about it.
Same. I was thinking about it, and I think all of the like friendships that I have lost, it was like a mutual kind of agreement.
I
So I
I
don't really grieve it.
I might be misremembering. I also have this thing where I only remember like good stuff. Like bad stuff does not stick in my brain. So when I look back on the past, it's just 100% rose-colored glasses, because all the bad stuff I just like throw in the dumpster and then I can't access it anymore. But as far as I remember, I've never cried over a friend. Like I've never had a friend break up where I was like, damn, I was sad. Sometimes I'm like, maybe just acknowledge that it sucks, but that's like the most I think I've ever done. I've never like wept or cried or felt super sad over
I
loss of a
think it's
friend.
always for me been like less about the person that's no longer in my life and more about the feeling of inadequacy or like not being good enough that they wanted to invest that same amount of energy. Um I don't know, like I feel the same way about like leaving jobs too. Like, oh, you didn't want me is how it feels, right? So it's I mean, I don't know. I don't really feel that way so much more anymore. I more grieve the the lack thereof of real life friendships, but I kind of just like you have to draw that pros and cons list in your head and you're like, "All right, what was so hard about having in real life friends and why is that so difficult for you?" Well, it's like, well, here are the reasons XYZ, and then here are the positive reasons XYZ why just doing it on the internet is better. And honestly, it has worked out better. Just like Dana said, do I wish I had a large friend group or like a group chat or like going out on the weekends, etc.? Yeah, sure. Do I have fucking time for that? No. I
You
wouldn't go
think you
anyway.
want that until you're like the person that's never responding and like doesn't want to hang out, and then they're like, why are we even inviting you and why are you even in
Yeah,
our group
no.
chat?
It's hard enough being up at 9 o'clock in the morning for this every other week, let alone like, let's go out for drinks at 9 o'clock on a Saturday. Let's not. Let's not do that. I'd have to be up even earlier for brunch.
I think it's hard. Like I for sure was maybe grieving the friendship we had as it was breaking down more than when it ended. Because I think when it ended, it just came sort of was like, okay, it's done now. Like it's over. We can move on. We can be at peace. Whereas like as it was kind of breaking down and stuff, and there was miscommunication and stuff, it was just very much like I really just wish things were the way they were like a couple of years ago, like before the pandemic and stuff. So yeah, I think I like would say I agree with more the change in the friendship rather than the end of the friendship.
That brings up like an interesting point because I feel like a lot of people, like, I think I grieve like past versions of myself more so almost, or like past situations, past, like, it's like Andy in The Office. I wish I could know I was in the good old days when I'm in the good old days. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think
Yeah,
I find myself
Yeah,
thinking
I know
about
exactly what you mean.
more about just like Dana said, like how things used to be, and I find myself thinking about that. Although at the same time, I love like life now, and I'm very excited, and it's fun to be the person I am. But I still like think back on times in my life, like seasons where I'm like, oh, that was just like so good, and like it's never gonna be the same again. Like we could do the same thing with the same group of people in the same setting, but everyone has changed and there's no way to go
yeah.
back to that exact season, and I think that's sad sometimes.
I feel the same way. Like, I think about how much I would love to have like those sleepovers where you do the makeovers and you
Oh
cook
my
the like
gosh, yeah.
bacon thing. And I just remember how much I love that and how I'm never gonna have that again. It's not really a
I
thing that adults
know.
do. Like, you don't have that kind of kiddie. Oh, we're going to the shops. We get to buy whatever snacks we want and stuff. Like, I can buy whatever snacks I want all the time, and it's not as exciting as an adult. Like,
See, I would try to recreate that now. I'd be like, let's do it virtually. Do you guys want to go and get a bunch of like face masks and we could do our nails and we can gossip about boys like Pedro Pascal and, just like all the cringy shit that we wanted to do when we were teenagers as friends.
I, on the other hand, don't really grieve like past versions of myself or past experiences because I feel that it got me to where I am now. And I also feel like I'm in a good place and I'm really excited for the future right now. So I don't really think about the past. I'm more focused on like what's going to happen like a year from now.
That's really good outlook. I like that. I
See, I
think
think
Proud of
about
that.
when I was like 19 and had my life together, and now I'm in this like I have all these mental health issues, and
you
my
do
life imploded at
you
like one
do
point.
definitely go through like a second phase of life where, like, I feel like, at least for me, like when I was in high school, I was like, I got everything down. I know what I'm doing. I am punctual. I have routines. I take care of myself, and I didn't even have to think about it. And then you turn like 25 and you're like, I don't know how to shower. I forgot how to brush my teeth. I everything is hard. How do I cook? And you have to go through this like relearning phase, because I often think I'm like, I need to access that high school version of myself because
Like,
she
where
was
is
so on
she?
top of it, and now I'm 30 and I'm like, damn, my 15-year-old self is outperforming me.
I
Your
feel this
I
15-year-old
all the
self,
time.
no, that is not a fair comparison. Your 15-year-old self's biggest issue was like, oh, fuck, I forgot to do my homework last
I
night.
know.
There's no actual consequence to that. You just stressed yourself out for nothing. Now, 30-year-old self is like, well, if I don't fucking go to work today, I don't get paid, which means I don't get to eat. I don't actually get to sleep here tomorrow night. Yeah, no. No, 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 no. I fucking the 15-year-old Steph was a fucking idiot. Should have cherished that shit instead of working 5 jobs in sophomore year. I was a dumbass. Now I'm burned out, bitter.
It is interesting though, like we grieve these people who are still alive, like ourselves, and also other like friendships and stuff, and that in itself is ambiguous grief, which is really interesting that it's something that we all kind of experience in different ways.
I think it's so funny that like you grieve high school you because I'm like, no, I don't want to go back to high school. Like my friends
Couldn't
from
pay
high
me.
school, like my best friend, she lives in another state, but like we're still friends. I do miss being around her like all the time, but I definitely don't miss high school at all.
You could pay me to
I
redo
don't
that.
miss
I think about that a
high
lot.
school. I just miss high school Braylon. She had so much energy. Nothing hurt her. Her body worked good.
16.
I know. I
Just
know. I was like the
springy and
Energizer
new.
Bunny.
A little sapling that had just sprouted out of the dirt. Like, oh, I miss that energy. You mean youth?
Yeah.
I miss my youth. Give it back to me.
Everything
That's
hurts
deep.
now, okay? Everything hurts. My body cracks and pops like every time I stand up.
I saw the
I
most
headbang at
hysterical TikTok.
raves.
That
It
I
was like
really
someone
haven't
doing a
like.
skit. I'm sorry.
Wait.
Mine's dumb. It's a skit. Go on.
I was just gonna say, I like to think that I really haven't changed like that much since high school. I know like a lot of people go through like all of these changes throughout their life and stuff, but I feel like the me now it's very close to the me then. It's
I would
really
just like
not that different.
I would just like to point out that you have not gone through your Saturn's return yet.
That's true.
27 to 29 could become a whole new Blaze. You don't know.
Maybe, but I also kind of doubt because I'm the type of person who is very like introspective
Do
already.
you learn from others' experiences too? Or are
I
you
do.
some yeah, so that
Yeah.
helps you a lot
Yeah,
because that's
with
how
your
I am
siblings.
too.
I remember you
If
saying
you-
that with your siblings.
If you're a learn by
Oh, yeah.
doing, that is unfortunate for you and I am so sorry.
Yeah, I'm not a learn by doing. I'm definitely a learn by watching other people.
Same.
Yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like
no.
I've changed
I
quite a bit.
unfortunately must learn by doing. I
Yeah.
have to fail. I've had many conversation with bosses like, listen, I know you're telling me to do it this one way. I have to learn the hard way. Please just let me learn the hard way really quick and then I am fully on board, but I need to prove to myself that I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about.
With work, I do have to like learn the hard way. But with everything else in life, I don't.
I would say
I
have
always feel
changed
like I
quite
know
a bit.
better.
Like I've had a lot of trauma since I was like 18, 19 as well that has changed me. And the discovery of like how that my personality was actually a mental illness, that was a great discovery as well. So yeah, I would say I have probably changed quite a bit since I was at school because I've had a lot of like big life things happen on my way to be almost 25.
I truly think that the reason why I haven't changed that much is because I was diagnosed so young. So I had already kind of figured out everything by the time I hit college.
See, and I had a similar but different experience because I got diagnosed young and just was like, I have no idea what this means. And it wasn't until I got to college that I was like, oh, fuck, that's what that means?
I went through a lot of not situations, but I had a lot of guidance on like what being ADHD meant.
I did not. I have that. I had a medication and I mean my mom like did a lot for me but didn't talk to me a lot about it. So then it wasn't until I got my first psychiatrist that I was like, "Oh, okay. This is not going to be fun. My brain is very different."
See, I'm
When you
learning
guys
that
got-
now. Like, these are not personality flaws. This is symptoms of ADHD. Like,
Yeah.
every new therapist session, I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. Really? Jesus Christ. I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know what I do. I don't know how I've gotten to this point.
I relate to that so hard. You're like, how did I get here? How did this
look around,
happen?
it's like, shit. It's like the cat waking up, like, all ruffled and Friday to Sun. Yeah, no, I'm cat in the second meme.
Do you find when you all got like diagnosed and stuff that you kind of grieved the person who I guess didn't have the help that you now have, or like the fact that you struggled for so long, or just in any way grieved like the change?
I harbor resentment. I'm very resentful some days, especially when I'm having like a really bad brain day. I harbor a lot of resentment. Like, if the adults in my life had just been more responsible about my caretaking, this didn't have to be this hard. Like, I was let down by every adult in my life growing up. No one gave a shit.
Do
I'll
you
never have
think
kids.
that on like a side note, like, well, that definitely sucks, but do you think it like pushed you to, because I feel like you are so successful today. And I feel like you wouldn't be that way if you didn't have to like kind of claw and get your way there. Like you're a badass
I
now.
mean, in a way, I'm successful, but I'm unhappy. So what does that success mean?
Well, I think that's more of like an internal issue. I think you're still successful even though you aren't happy. Like, you know what I
And
mean?
that's not what success is to me though.
I guess
Like
that's true. It's outside
I'm
success.
yeah, like I'm still fucking it's just ugh, it's so annoying. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of talking about it. I'm tired of living it. I'm just like I'm 30 fucking one. Can we just get with the program, please? Like just reset it. It's fine. I don't need it.
Did you, Blaze or Braylon, also feel you grieved after your diagnosis, or because you were so young, do you feel you didn't really have time to kind of even really realize?
I was like ignorance is bliss situation through my whole life. I think my family made me feel so normal at home, and I literally just have never cared really what people thought about me like at school. So like it wasn't like I was like people are judging me. Like my mom said I had to go every day before lunch to the nurse's office to take medication because I was on like a double dose a day. And my mom was like, "We thought you were going to be like, oh, I have to like go to the nurse and like do this thing and like get out of line." And she was like, "You literally were fine. Like it didn't even phase you. You just like, here I go, just gonna go do this thing." So I think the grieving came when I first saw a psychiatrist, and she explained everything to me, and I was just like, oh, cool. I think then I went through some like almost like an identity crisis of like, fuck, this sucks. And I had to overcome all of that. It was not fun.
Since I was so young when I was diagnosed, I had different experience because like I had friends who were also diagnosed with ADHD, and I was getting in trouble so much that it was kind of like, oh, this is why I'm getting in trouble. This is why I do these things. Maybe I shouldn't do those things. And I was immediately put on medication, and it made me so much better. I wasn't getting in trouble with my parents as much, with my teachers as much. So it was like it was all around just a better experience for myself. So no, I didn't grieve it.
I'm amazed that you were so self-aware at such a young age about that. Like that literally never crossed my mind until I was like 20.
I think it's the different time. Like I think by the time that I was in school, like we're not like that far in age, but I think it's just enough that it was a lot more common.
When it comes to school, we're pretty far in age when it
Yeah,
comes to
I didn't
like
know
the
anyone.
experiences that we had
Yeah,
in school.
I didn't
Yeah,
know
I know
anyone that had
so
it.
many people. Like my best friend is probably undiagnosed ADHD.
See, I only knew boys with ADHD where they were like chucking chairs around the classroom and stuff. And obviously, with diagnosis of ADHD and even autism, it's they use how it's shown in young boys. That is how they kind of diagnose people from that, and they don't really. That's why a lot of women are getting diagnosed now, because when they were younger with the masking and the kind of not showing it in the same way, it gets missed a lot of the times. I'm on
I
my own kind
really,
of self discovery, like
yeah.
diagnosis journey, and I grieve a lot for the little me who was felt so alone and didn't have many friends and didn't understand why everyone hated her just because she was different.
Disrespectfully, fuck them kids.
No, I agree completely. Fuck them
Kids are literally so cruel.
Fucking little
The other one.
assholes.
It took getting
I
to
blame their
college to
shitty
meet
parents.
like nice people.
If I had gone to your school, I would have been your friend. I was always friends with the people that
Same.
didn't have friends, and I always tried to make them feel included, and I always made sure they were invited to my birthday party, and my mom would be like, "You're inviting, like these kids?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, they don't have any friends. They got to
Yeah,
come to
same.
a
I was
birthday
always
party."
friends with those for people.
See, I just had a birthday tea with one friend because I didn't really have
Aww.
any friends. So we just had a birthday tea. Like, they come around my house and my mom would buy all these nice things from the shop for us
That's
to
so
have. And that was really
cute.
exciting. But yeah, because I didn't have many friends to have for birthdays. Now I get to stream
I
with
was the
people.
kid that got shit chucked at them in the cafeteria, so
Aw.
I'm good. Fuck
Oh
them kids.
no. Oh my gosh. That's so sad.
I was
We'll
just
have
a skinny little Indian girl. I had no social skills, none, no, absolutely no social awareness. That just looking back, I just cringe so fucking hard. It's probably why I am the way that it's definitely why I am the way that I am now. Like, I don't give a fuck if you like me or not. Really, I mean, I do, but I don't. I shouldn't. I get my feelings hurt sometimes. I did fuck around not too long ago and get my feelings hurt. I told you guys about that. But good riddance. I don't want to be your friend anyway. How did we fake it this last week?
I didn't really fake it this week. I don't know about you guys, but it was a good week.
It's 420 month. I'm faking it every second that I am alive this month. So tired.
I can't wait till I can say that I haven't faked it this week because I feel like for a while every week has been a bit of a struggle for me, and then this week mentally has not been great. I feel like I'm getting burnt out again. So I just need to kind of, I don't know, maybe like do some more preventative maintenance, like, self-care over emergency self-care, because yeah, it's a struggle. I'm really looking forward to not next week, but the week after, when we finally get someone else in logistics so I can get some help, so I don't have to fall asleep at my desk every night trying to get everything done. So yeah, just being alive and being here. I'm faking it.
Dana, I'm so sorry.
Oh my gosh.
Thank you for your
I've been
fucking
there, though.
honesty. Holy shit, do I relate?
I did not really fake it this last week either. Things have kind of been rocking and rolling for me, which is nice. So, yeah.
We need snaps.
Yeah. Snaps for Braylon and Blaze.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening in. We hope you found some value. Join us on Discord to access resources mentioned in each episode and find your people. Follow us on social media and tune in to our next episode, getting organized in home life and online, or lightening the mental load with organization.
Bye.
Bye.